Hello, I'm Lieutenant Brent Feckety with the Burbank Police Department. This critical incident debrief video is intended to provide information and an overview of the circumstances surrounding an officer-involved shooting that occurred in the city of Burbank on November 22, 2025, shortly after 11:15 p.m. The purpose of this video is to share audio and video recordings from the incident, along with preliminary details and evidence known to investigators at this point. This material is being released in order to provide our community with a better understanding of what occurred. The Burbank Police Department conducts thorough and comprehensive use of force investigations, including all officer-involved shootings. These investigations include interviews with witnesses and involved personnel, a review of all available audio and video evidence, and an examination of physical and forensic evidence. This process can take several months to complete, and the investigation into this incident remains ongoing. The department does not draw any conclusions regarding whether the involved officers' actions were consistent with policy, training, or the law until all facts have been thoroughly reviewed and the investigation is complete. A word of caution: this video contains graphic images, audio, and content that may be disturbing to some viewers. Incidents involving the use of deadly force to protect life can be difficult to watch. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Burbank police officers assigned to patrol are equipped with body-worn cameras. These cameras are typically mounted at chest level and provide a general line-of-sight perspective from the angle at which they are worn. However, they do not capture everything an officer sees or experiences during an encounter or an investigation. Body-worn cameras record both audio and video. Once activated, they include a 30-second pre-event buffer which captures the previous 30 seconds of a video without audio. This feature helps preserve important context in situations that occurred suddenly or without warning when an officer may not have time to immediately activate their camera. Burbank police patrol vehicles are also equipped with in-car camera systems. These cameras record both audio and video and can be activated manually or automatically. The system automatically activates when an officer turns on the vehicle's emergency lights, unholsters their duty weapon, or deploys their taser. We will now provide a brief overview of the events leading up to the shooting. On November 22, 2025, at about 6:40 p.m., a Burbank police officer conducted a traffic enforcement stop near the northbound I-5 on-ramp at Buena Vista Street. The patrol officer contacted the driver, who told the officer he did not have a driver's license. The officer then spoke with a passenger seated in the front seat, who also did not have identification. During the investigation, the passenger exited the vehicle, ran onto the freeway, and entered an embankment through a maintenance access panel in the sound wall.
Hello.
The passenger was later identified as Jose Domingo Ayala Alice, a 37-year-old resident of Palmdale. Here is body-worn and in-car camera video from this incident, beginning with the police officer's traffic stop.
13, I'll be on there. What's up, sir?
Sí, buenas.
Hey, oh, buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
La razón que te pares por el video. No puedes tener tents en esos tres, ¿ok?
Oh, pero pues así como yo así la compré.
¿Así lo compraste?
Sí.
Ok. ¿Me permite su licencia, por favor?
La verdad, no cargo.
¿No tienes?
No.
¿Dónde vienen?
Vengo de trabajar ahorita, de aquí de la... ¿Cómo se llama?
¿Español también?
Sí.
¿Tiene ID usted?
As the officer speaks with the driver, Mr. Alice can be seen seated in the front passenger seat. When both occupants tell the officer they do not have identification, the officer requests an additional unit to assist. A second officer arrives within 2 minutes, and the driver is asked to step out of the vehicle.
Sí. Voy a poner el teléfono aquí, ¿ok? Fíjate para allá.
Moments later, Mr. Alice is instructed to exit the vehicle.
Hello.
You have any weapons or anything on you? No. No? Can I check just to make sure?
The officer asked Mr. Alice if he had any weapons, which he denied. When instructed to step away from the vehicle, Mr. Alice suddenly turned and ran up the freeway on-ramp while reaching toward his waistband.
All right, come here. Let's go walk over here. Hey! Stop!
A Burbank police officer initiated a brief foot pursuit. However, Mr. Alice evaded capture by entering a maintenance access door within the freeway sound wall and fleeing into an area of dense vegetation, situated between the wall and a wash in a nearby residential neighborhood. Additional officers responded and established a perimeter around the area where Mr. Alice was last seen. At about 7:10 p.m., an overhead police helicopter detected a heat source using an infrared camera within an area of vegetation near a maintenance access door that Mr. Alice had entered. The location was situated on a steep embankment with limited visibility, offering little to no cover or concealment for officers to approach. This presented significant potential hazards and tactical disadvantages for officers on the ground. Around the same time, an officer searching the suspect's vehicle located 9mm ammunition inside a bag on the front passenger seat where Mr. Alice had been seated. This information was broadcast to assisting personnel.
13 be advised, in the little satchel where the passenger was sitting, there's a little case full of ammunition.
The Burbank Police Department trains in the use of a variety of less lethal tools and tactics designed to help de-escalate potentially dangerous situations while reducing the risk of serious injury. These tools include chemical agents, kinetic energy impact munitions, pepper ball systems, and drones. All of these tools were considered during this incident. However, availability, dense vegetation, limited visibility, and proximity to the suspect restricted the safe deployment or potential effectiveness of some of these tools. Based on officers' observations and evidence located within the vehicle, officers believed Mr. Alice may have been armed. However, there was no definitive evidence that he was in possession of a weapon. Officers developed a tactical plan to use a police canine to help locate and apprehend the individual who was concealed within the vegetation. A police canine responded to assist, and a search team was assembled. At about 8 p.m., officers made announcements in both English and Spanish, encouraging Mr. Alice to surrender peacefully. However, no response was received. At about 8:03 p.m., the search utilizing the police canine began. Police canine Spike, who was wearing a ballistic vest, climbed up the embankment approximately 50 yards ahead of the officers and entered the dense vegetation. Moments after Spike moved into the brush, officers heard multiple gunshots coming from the area.
Kill your light and your rifle. Plus!
Spike emerged from the vegetation and returned to his handler, obviously wounded. Officers immediately transported him to a local emergency veterinary hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries. Following the shooting of the police canine, officers continued efforts to contain Mr. Alice and monitor his movements using all available resources. A police helicopter maintained visual contact with Mr. Alice as he remained concealed within the vegetation. The incident then transitioned into a joint operation involving the Glendale and Pasadena Police Departments, as well as California Highway Patrol, with support from additional canine teams, crisis negotiators, and special weapons and tactics personnel. As additional police resources responded, the police helicopter remained overhead and monitored Mr. Alice's position and relayed observations to officers on the ground.
Arms up.
Based on drone footage, I'm getting no reaction.
Go up on the freeway.
Okay, I can now get the announcement.
No, I never was. So, get the equipment truck.
Water hose is ready. Copy. Get ready to go with the flashbang.
At about 8:20 p.m., the Glendale Police Department's Medcat, which is a variation of the Lenco Bearcat, was positioned in the 2600 block of North Frederick Street near the embankment where Mr. Alice was hiding. The Glendale Police Department's Medcat is an armored vehicle designed to support officers during critical incidents by providing safe, secure, and highly mobile ballistic protection. The vehicle enables personnel to conduct rescue operations and respond to hazardous or high-risk situations where enhanced officer safety and community safety is essential. At approximately 11:10 p.m., crisis negotiators used the vehicle's public address system to call out to Mr. Alice and encourage him to surrender peacefully.
T2, we made several announcements both in English and in Spanish.
No response was received. At 11:13 p.m., police personnel deployed 2 noise flash diversionary devices which produce a bright flash and loud sound in an attempt to encourage a peaceful surrender. Mr. Alice did not respond to the deployment of the devices. At 11:14 p.m., 2 additional noise flash diversionary devices were deployed. However, Mr. Alice did not respond. Shortly afterward, crisis negotiators made additional announcements in both Spanish and English, again encouraging Mr. Alice to surrender peacefully. No response was received. At 11:15 p.m., police personnel directed water from a hose connected to the Glendale Police Department's Medcat into the dense brush where Mr. Alice was believed to be concealed. Immediately thereafter, Mr. Alice fired a gun toward officers, striking the Medcat just inches from one of the personnel positioned nearby.
Shots fired.
3 shots fired. These are outbound. Do a roll call. Everyone at Team 3 to code 4.
At 11:16 p.m., Mr. Alice stood up and began running north along the sound wall and embankment, concealing himself within the dense brush before squatting down with the gun still in his hand.
Out the door, running north of the door now. He's at the top of the berm, running northbound.
At 11:20 p.m., police personnel positioned on the freeway could see Mr. Alice still armed with a gun.
Moving towards us.
Hawkins, he's north of the Bearcat now, where that unit is.
Police personnel on the freeway deployed 2 noise flash diversionary devices. However, Mr. Alice did not respond. Officers instructed Mr. Alice to put his hands up, however, he refused. His aggressive and assaultive actions precipitated an officer-involved shooting.
Guns in his hand! Guns in his hand!
2 Burbank police officers returned fire from the freeway above Mr. Alice's location, while 2 additional Burbank police officers and 1 Glendale police officer returned fire from a pathway along the walk. Mr. Alice was struck, causing him to fall to the ground. However, he maintained control of his gun.
Behind you, behind you.
At about 11:21 p.m., Mr. Alice pointed his firearm at the officers, which precipitated another officer-involved shooting. 4 Burbank police officers and 1 Glendale police officer fired, fatally wounding Mr. Alice.
His legs are moving. Don't move. Drop the gun. Still has a gun in his hand. He's proned out and he's moving. Pointing the gun down the wash. Shots fired from my partners.
Police officers safely approached Mr. Alice and rendered first aid. Paramedics who were already staged on scene at a short distance away arrived shortly afterwards and continued life-saving measures. Mr. Alice succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased at the scene. Investigators determined that the object in Mr. Alice's hand was an unserialized 9mm handgun. This same weapon was used to fatally wound a police canine and to fire at officers during the incident. Mr. Alice was a documented 18th Street gang member with a criminal history that included several arrests for weapons-related charges and an arrest in El Centro in 2010 for illegal re-entry into the United States following a prior deportation. Over the next several months, the Burbank Police Department will continue its comprehensive investigation into this incident. This process includes a criminal investigation, which will be presented to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office Justice System Integrity Division, an administrative investigation conducted by the Burbank Police Department Internal Affairs Bureau, which reviews all available evidence and facts, a full analysis by the Critical Incident Review Board, which examines tactics, training, and decision-making, an independent analysis by the Office of Independent Review, which is an external oversight group. The purpose of these review processes is to determine whether the officer's actions and tactics were consistent with department policy, training, and the law, including the decision to draw and exhibit a firearm and the application of deadly force. For more information about the Burbank Police Department's professional accountability processes, as well as our use of force policy, please visit burbankca.gov/police. Thank you for taking the time to watch this critical incident debrief video.